Welcome to my tutorial for Road Redemption for the Xbox One. This is also on PS4. I believe it may also be on PC. In this tutorial, I'm mainly going to be covering some general tips, some survival tactics, and things like that, since this is kind of a roguelike type of game. If you like the old Road Rash games, then you will probably really enjoy this game. It does have some, a few issues. It's not a perfect game. It definitely has some clunkiness and shit like that, but the old Road Rash games were even clunkier in a lot of ways, much worse frame rate and things like that. So this game also has a lot of improvements over those old games because, of course, it's much more modern technology, but it does have a lot of issues and things like that that may take it down some notches, but I really enjoyed the game overall. I'm actually going to do a separate review on that, and I'll cover all that in another video. But the way this game works, it's kind of like a roguelite style, which is where it has roguelike elements, where to beat the game, you have to complete, I believe it's 18 tracks. You have to complete them all in one session, as far as, you can't die. Now, there is a one-up option where if you spend 4,000 cash, in-game cash, you can buy a extra life where you'll revive with all your health. I was never able to afford that because I always spent my money on all the other upgrades and things like that. So it's rare you'll come across that, and you may not want to spend that kind of cash on that. I would say you're probably better off getting a lot of the other upgrades most of the time. But the way the game works is that you have to beat those 18 tracks on one life, basically, unless you buy the one-up. But aside from that, you have to beat them on one life. If you die at any time, losing all your health, you will have to start the game over again. But you do unlock permanent upgrades with your experience points, which you get from killing other riders, beating tracks, and things like that. So what you do is you spend that XP, and you'll get permanent upgrades. Some of those permanent upgrades include being able to start on a later stage. So first you can unlock starting on stage 3, then you can unlock starting on stage 6, and then later you can unlock starting on stage 9, which is pretty much starting halfway through the game. But when I beat the game, as I said, it took me around 6 hours, 19 minutes to beat. I think I mentioned that. But at the point I was in the game, I was able to start on stage 6. So that's what you're seeing here. This is my successful run starting from stage 6. So it does cut down on time. But see, the only trade-off, starting on stage 6, you see I almost died here because I'm starting on a boss stage with no weapons. So, aside from the default weapons that my character starts with. But I don't have any guns or anything like that, so it makes it a lot harder to take out the boss, and I almost died here. So it probably would have been easier to start on stage 3 or something like that, where I could have at least collected a few weapons instead of starting on a boss stage. But I was still able to pull it off and, qualify the stage. But you see, my remaining health was very low, so I almost didn't beat it. Now, the objectives for each track and the tracks themselves, I think, are somewhat randomly generated as far as if you're going to get a time trial or a race or an event where you have to take out all the enemies. Those objectives seem to be randomly generated since it has some rogue elements. But you're still doing a lot of the same shit from track to track, so these strategies are still going to apply no matter what objectives you get. You're going to be able to apply all these strats. Now, I recommend mainly upgrading your firearms. Shotgun, machine gun, things like that, over the melee weapons like the machete and things like that. Also, I chose the rider. I unlocked him pretty early in the game. You would see in the beginning if you see which rider I used. He has 125 health. I think he has a critical charge of 10 or something, which I never used the charge attack. You can charge up your melee attack for extra damage, but I never used it. I actually ended up relying more on guns. Once I figured out how useful the guns were, that was my main strategy for beating the game. So I recommend mostly upgrading your guns first when you have the chance. Upgrade maximum health. Those are the kind of things to upgrade. Now, initially, you're going to want to earn some XP and grind out some XP to power up your characters permanently. And a good way to do that is early on in the game, you'll unlock a character that gets more XP, but he only has about half health. He has 50% health, but he generates a lot more XP. So I would recommend using him for a while, and you're going to fail. You're going to fail several times, but you're going to end up amassing a lot more XP that way, most likely. So that's what I did to build up my XP early on. and I got a bunch of permanent unlocks, and I just kind of looked at it as if I failed if I failed the game, it wasn't a big deal because I was mainly just trying to get some XP. So I just, I would see how far I could get, but I wouldn't really be stressed out if I lost the game because I wasn't really expecting to win with that character since he starts out with such lower health. If you're not doing well with the character with lower health, then maybe the extra XP is not worth the trade-off, and you may just want to use, a character you prefer, like with more health, and just try to get farther in the game, because you do get a lot of XP just for simply getting far into the game. So you can do that as well. So maybe experiment with both, depending, how well you're able to play with the limited character with the limited health bar. So yeah, the reason I wanted to show the full run, which is about 55 minutes to beat, starting from stage 6 at least, the reason I wanted to show the full game and do a full commentary is because I think the pacing is important to show, you know what I mean? And it's going to be a little drawn out, but I thought it would be important to show the pacing, show that I do fail some tracks and I'm still able to survive the whole game. Keep in mind, you're trying to survive on that one life. Now, the way the game works is you are able to fail the events. For the races, you need to get in 3rd place to pass, but if you get 4th place, you will fail. Now, the penalty for failing any of the events is going to be that you lose permanently 25% of your health bar. So it is a big penalty for failing, but you're able to do it. But you don't want to do it much. I believe I maybe only failed like one event or something, if I remember right. You don't want to do it much because if you fail too much, your health bar is going to be really, really small, and that's going to put you at a huge disadvantage. It's going to be hard to survive the rest of the game. So yeah, so basically I would say first upgrade your firearms and try to max them out first. Second to that, upgrade your health, and maybe third to that, upgrade your nitro so you can hold more nitro. Now, occasionally you're going to want to buy things like codeine and things like that just to give yourself some health back. So you're going to want to buy some health replenishment if your health is really low. If your health isn't that low, you may just want to get your health back within the stages themselves. You can kill motorcyclists who have a health icon above their head to get health back. You can also pick up those red health items you see me getting. Now, whenever I'm on a rooftop level, I'm usually focusing more on picking up the health replenishment and getting my health bar back up than actually trying to race through the event super fast, because the rooftops are dangerous to try to go high speed on, and you can fall a lot and drain your health. So whenever I have a rooftop event, I'm usually just trying to mainly survive the event, mostly. And I will take out other racers with the guns usually. I don't try to hit them with the melee items like the shovel. Now, this character also starts with a shovel, which is my favorite melee weapon because it has a lot of range. You don't have to get in close with the guys when you're smacking them. So I really like this character for the shovel that he starts with. You may be able to obtain the shovel in the shop or something if you don't start with it, but I'm not sure on that. I just know that this character always started with the shovel, which I really, really liked. And of course, he has 125% health. He's got the extra health and some other advantages. So I like this character a lot. I'm sure there's better characters, but I didn't play the game long enough to unlock, most of the stuff. So yeah. So you're gonna figure, you're probably gonna fail the game for several hours, but that's okay. Just try to get your XP and try to unlock some shit. You do have to unlock a lot of different abilities and perks and things that you may not really want right away, that aren't really that important to you. You may have to unlock some of that stuff because you want to unlock everything to free up the next branch of the skill tree. You have to kind of unlock things that you may not even want, but it's okay. Just spend the XP, just spend it all up, and pay your way through there and unlock the next tier of unlocks, because you want to get some of the better unlocks, like starting at stage 6, starting at stage 9 is really good. I wasn't able to unlock that for this run, but like I said, I started on stage 6, which was nice, but aside from starting on a fucking boss fight with no weapons, it's a little tricky. But yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, I was able to pull it off. So the motorcyclists have icons above their head, such as a shield icon, a money icon, etc. When you kill those guys, I don't know what the shield one does. Never figured that out, but I kill them because I figure it's something good. But whenever you see the guys with the shield icon on their head, they're very aggressive, and you don't want to fight them up close. They'll constantly parry your attacks and smack you. You can try to parry their attacks by hitting A to try to grab the pipe that they're trying to hit you with. But I really didn't really like to engage in those mechanics too much. What I usually do with those guys, instead of trying to smack them like I'm doing now, I'll usually just back up a little bit and pull out one of my guns and just blast their fucking ass and just kill them that way. So it's a lot easier to back up a little bit sometimes and get the guy in front of you and then just shoot him. So, once you start getting guns, you don't have to engage as much with the melee. There's also these sticky bombs, C4, that you can stick on the enemies, and in a few seconds it will explode on the guy once it sticks on him. It's a great way to take out enemies. Now, that's a huge part of my survival tactic, is killing guys with guns and C4 explosives oftentimes. And the reason I do that is because it gives you nitro. Every time you kill a biker, you get nitro, which is what you can use by double tapping your gas. You can use that to speed through areas and catch up. So it's a huge part of my strategy. You can also kill the motorcyclists who have the blue nitro icon above their heads to get nitro back that way too. But the way you can always get your nitro meter filled up again is by killing bikers. It's a very easy way to do it. There may be some other things, like driving real close to traffic and things, that may build up your nitro, but I never bothered with those. The only thing I would do to get nitro would be to kill the other bikers. And once I figured out how useful guns were, that became my main attack. Now, there's also some kind of system in place where, as I said, you can parry attacks by grabbing the shovel or grabbing the sword. If a guy's hitting you with a weapon, you can try to grab it. I don't think you can snatch it from them, but you can parry the attack. I never really did that much. I didn't have luck with that, and it's not something I really used because I didn't want to get in these long, drawn-out sword battles or shovel battles with guys that are going to take long while the control's already kind of janky and it's easy to go off track and fly off over the place. So I didn't really want to fuck around with that and jack around with that too much. So I try not to dance with the guys too long with the melee battles. See, once I get the shotgun, you see I'm already blasting guys, machine gunning guys, switching weapons, and using various guns. Now you're seeing me start to use the weapons. Now, it does take a lot of skill to do this, because there's no auto-aim, so it takes a lot of skill to pop off guys while you're driving. To start off with, to make it easy at first, I suggest shooting guys that are basically directly in front of you as kind of an early way to get used to the controls. Start off by doing that, because it's easy to shoot guys when they're directly in front of you. You don't even have to aim. Your reticule should be pointed directly at them when you pull out your gun. So start off with that. And then you can kind of, evolve your skill a little bit to shoot guys from the side, as you see me doing here. And sometimes you can even get some long-distance shotgun shots and take out guys, which, I don't always get, obviously. But you see me popping guys off with the shotgun at a pretty far range. But, of course, then I got hit by that fucking car. It's very easy to get blindsided. But the good thing is when you're popping off these guys with the guns and killing them, you're filling up your nitro meter. So when you respawn back on the track, you're going to have a lot of nitro and you can catch up to the guys. See, I'm getting nailed here, but I have a lot of nitro, so I'm able to catch back up. Now, you also notice that I pause the game quite a bit at times to get back on track. Now, you can't get back on track with that feature when you're already knocked off your bike, but you can get back on track pretty quick, though, if you drive off track or something like that. Use that feature, pause the game, and have it reset you back on track. It gets you back in the action pretty quick. And you can catch up fast doing that, if you need to. If you're already on track, obviously, it's probably not going to help you. But if you're off track a little bit, because sometimes you get these sharp turns and you go flying, and that's the perfect time to use it to get back on track and, start popping these guys off and getting your nitro back. Now, in this particular event, whenever you see this event with the reticules above the enemies, that means you have to kill a target amount of enemies. Usually like 5 or 6 enemies you have to kill. It says kills to win on the upper right. So that's what you need to do. But for trucks, if you want to take out a truck that has a reticle on top of it, those are the guys that are going to count towards your kill count that you need to qualify. Use machine guns or shotguns on the trucks. You don't want to try to go up to a truck and smack it with a pipe. I think it does very little damage. Actually, the fastest way to take out the trucks that I usually like to do is I use the C4, and I stick the C4 on the side of the trucks and detonate them. And C4 is extremely useful to take out guys. You can just keep sticking them with C4 and then either pass them or let them pass and explode. And it's great because if you put C4 on somebody, they're going to explode in a few seconds, but sometimes they'll go drive off to their friends and kill a bunch of their friends. So C4 is very useful. And if you're paying attention, you'll see that I use the C4 quite a bit. But yeah, I thought this would be good just to kind of try to go over the general way the game works and my general survival strategies, because I have some really good strats that allow me basically to survive until the end. It's not always about winning the events. You want to try to at least qualify the events. So in a race, you want to at least get third place if you can. But if you fuck up a few times, you'll be all right, especially with this character who starts with a pretty high max health. So he can take at least one full loss before he's down to 100% health, which is pretty much what a standard character starts with. So he almost gets kind of a free loss in a sense, but it's not worth losing just to do it. But sometimes you got to balance it out, because trying to win an event sometimes can be really dangerous if your health is low, and you may not want to engage with the enemies. You may want to hang back and take the loss sometimes, in rare events. You really want to weigh it out, because it is easy to get killed later on. The guys can kill you fast if you get in these battles with them. Some enemies even have guns and they can strip your health fast. But there's certain enemies that are really aggressive with the swords and melee weapons and really smack the shit out of you and try to take you out. So if it gets a little too heated, don't be afraid. Like you saw, I backed up a little bit, but now I'm popping guys off from behind them. You know what I mean? I backed off a little so I could get some good shots at them. And then, of course, I'm getting my nitro back by doing this, see? So now I can... See, once you get good at it, you can pop off a lot of guys, but it can be tough taking those side shots, and the game can be kind of janky, so it's easy to drive into shit when you start trying to shoot off on the sides. I mean, I got pretty good at it, but I can still fuck up. It's always dangerous whenever I do it. But you will get good at switching weapons and shooting guys eventually, and that's the main skill in this game, what you see me doing here with shooting all these guys, from various ranges. Once you can do that accurately, you can get a lot of nitro and you can blast past everyone, as you see. So it's like, I would say that was the main skill for me that really helped me, because initially I found the guns hard to use. They're tough to aim, and you got to get used to when to use them and when to fire your shots, how to line guys up. It's definitely a skill. It's the main skill in this game, I would say. Now, of course, you could go in the other direction and be more of a specialist with melee weapons and stuff, but then you have to switch your melee weapons for different types of enemies. So if you want to decapitate an enemy that doesn't have a helmet, you would use the sword. If the guy has armor or helmet, then you got to use maybe a wrench. There's all these different fucking weapons to use for different types of enemies, which for me is a little bit complicated. I didn't really, get too deep into that, because I found that guns were the way for me to go. You do get plenty of gun pickups throughout the game. Now, you don't want to be spraying indiscriminately and going crazy with your guns, obviously, because you'll waste the bullets real fast. But if you save your guns up, remember, all your items that you collect carry over into the next race. So there's no need to try to be wasteful and waste all your shit. See, I barely qualified here, but I killed enough guys to where I could speed ahead. Now, getting on the subject of killing guys, that's another good point that I forgot to mention. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll kill the main racers. And that means that I can't place less than third, right? Now, if I kill all the racers, I have to place first. And I believe I've done that before, where I've eliminated pretty much every racer on the track, or most of them. And, the ones that may be alive are probably so far behind they'll never catch me anyway. So remember that strategy. Remember, if you're having trouble, not only kill there's cannon fodder type bikers that are there for you to fuck up and kill and get nitro off of and stuff. And you can get all kinds of shit off of them. You can get health. Some of them give you health. A lot of them are just regular bikers. They don't give you any bonus except for the nitro. Nitro is always a bonus, but you're always going to get that for killing any of the bikers on the road. So just keep that in mind. Like, if you're having trouble, try killing your opposition, because remember, if there's only 2 guys left, the worst you can do is third. So keep that in mind. That's another way to place well, which is a very cool feature. I like that the enemies don't respawn if you actually kill them. They're permanently dead. And you'll actually see on your radar, on the bottom left, there's a meter that shows how far on the track you are. And you'll see that the enemies that you kill begin to get X'd out. Now, this is a boss level. So, the goal here, it says kills to win 1. You're trying to kill the heavily armored boss that has the reticle above his head. And everybody else is just in your fucking way. But remember, these guys, it's good that he has his little henchmen because you're going to kill them to get nitro, which you're going to use to catch up to the boss. So, use that to your advantage. Now, whenever dealing with bosses, that's where your firearms are really going to shine because it's very hard to fight these boss characters with your shovel or with your machete and trying to smack them around. You have to line up very well, which I've done before, but it's a lot harder to do that. You may want to do that if you're out of firearms, then that's what you're going to do to finish them off. But see, here I'm just chilling back. I'm not trying to catch up to him too much. I'm trying to leave him ahead of me so I can just pop shots on him and kill him. So that's why I'm not driving super fast. I'm not trying to get nitro right now. I'm just waiting for this asshole. See, now I'm popping him with my shotgun, and I'm just trying to get behind him and pull those shots. And that's it, see? So once you get good with the guns, you can shoot the enemies when they're on the sides of you. The easiest shots are always when guys are directly in front of you, obviously. That's like the beginner shot that you'll probably be doing at first until you get used to the controls. But it is hard because when you're firing with the weapons, you have to aim with your right analog stick, while you're driving with your left analog stick. So with the, sometimes the game is kind of janky the way it throws you around on the tracks. You get thrown off track very easily. So you don't always want to hold the accelerator down. Sometimes you want to let off the accelerator a little bit and, kind of use your brake a little bit to take those turns. But you have a lot to manage at high speed, so it does. It definitely takes skill to adapt to the controls. But remember that even if you lose, eventually you should get better at the controls, and you're going to have a lot of stuff that makes the game easier because you're going to unlock a lot of stuff with that XP. So the game is on your side for you to win eventually. Now, for some players, it's probably going to take a lot longer to get there, but if you're patient and you keep playing, and try to learn the controls, you should get better with time. This is definitely much easier than the old Road Rash games, which are really fucking hard games. I did beat one of them on the 3DO, which I have a tutorial up on my channel. But awesome fucking game. But yeah, this has a lot of similarities. Though I would say that 3DO game is still better than this. But this has some stuff that's even better than the old Road Rash games. Like fucking guns are a great addition. It's like kind of a high skill type of thing to use. There's a little bit of a barrier to entry. I saw a lot of reviewers were bitching about the guns, which they were complaining that it was too hard to use the guns and aim while driving. But if you watch my video, you can see I'm able to fucking do it, right? So, it's not like you can't do it. But it takes practice, that's all. Like anything else, like a good game should. So, I have no issues. I think it's an awesome addition. And I wouldn't want auto-aim on the guns because I feel like that would remove some of the satisfaction of learning to use the guns. So, I don't have a problem with that. I think the game could use some polish as far as just being tighter to control and better physics and things like that, which I'm going to get into in the review. But I think the guns are really cool, and it's a cool skill to have to develop while driving. Driving while shooting accurately is pretty cool. But you can see how beneficial it is once you learn how to use the guns well. You can really, build up your nitro meter, which means that you can stay ahead of the pack and qualify for more events and beat more events. Because without nitro, you get pretty fucked. Like, you get to a point where if you don't have any nitro, everybody's going to pass you and you're not going to be able to win events. And the best way I learned to survive and get the nitro was just use my guns and kind of pepper them when I can to take guys out. I usually pepper the trigger. Shotgun is one shot only, but with the machine guns, I'll pepper the trigger, tap the trigger a bit. And sometimes I will hold it down if I have a very clear shot, and I'll just mow them down with all the bullets. But it's good to pepper it a little bit and do it accurately. That really, once you learn to take guys out, see, I'm taking out guys continuously with the guns. Now, when I was playing the game for a while, I was mainly using my shovels and things to take guys out, which I was decent with, but guys would counter that shit later on. The harder guys will counter that. They're very hard to take out with the melee weapons. And you really, if you're just trying to beat the game, you really should be able to learn the guns and do it that way. That's mainly what I did. Now, you have jump jets that you pick up. That's like a second form of nitro that makes you kind of jump around. It's good if you're about to fall in a pit, but aside from that, I found it really sloppy to use for me. I would go all over the fucking map and shit, you know. So I didn't abuse those too much. Only when I was in a tight situation, I would use them to jump out of harm's way. So again, you're going to see most of my upgrades that I'm focusing on are stuff like ammo belt, which gives me more capacity for my guns and shit. Because one of the reasons I want my guns to be powered up, one of the main reasons is actually for the final boss fight and for the bosses in general, because you can strip their health so fast if you have powered up weapons. And you don't want to try to smack the bosses, especially the final boss. It's just a much harder way to deal with them, because you have to be perfectly lined up to the side of them, and it's easy to get hit by cars and shit. And you got other bikers fucking with you. So, of course, sometimes you want to machine gun guys, not just for the nitro. Sometimes, there's other reasons to do it, just because the guys are mobbing you and you want them off your ass. So sometimes just back up and pull your gun out and just blast them and take them out permanently. And then you don't have to deal with them anymore. But like I said, you can see those X's on my bottom left where it shows how far on the track my motorcycle is. Those X'd out guys are competitors that are permanently dead. See, I'm killing them right now. So right now I'm taking out competitors, which means that they can never pass me because they're going to be fucking dead. They can only pass me maybe in the fucking afterlife. But, they're not going to affect my positioning anymore. So taking these guys out is hugely beneficial. You get nitro for doing it. You also get XP for killing people. And you're going to use that XP. If you fail the event, you'll be using that XP to buy more upgrades, and then you'll probably do better next time. But you can't use the XP, while you're currently involved in the event trying to beat the game. But you can use it if you fail the event completely. But the cash is something you're going to be using. And I believe you get more cash as well for killing guys. You definitely get more cash for killing the guys with the dollar signs above their head, that's for sure. Now, police are just there for you to fuck with. You kill them, you get the nitro, just like any other biker. They're not much more dangerous than your average biker. But yeah, I thought this game was pretty fucking awesome. Like I said, it's not a perfect game or anything, but for someone who loves Road Rash, like I do, you don't see games like that anymore. And I thought this was a pretty fucking awesome like version of that, Like even I said, it could be a lot better too, but they did a lot of really cool shit, and I really like the variety of weapons. If this had the budget of something like the new Need for Speed games or something like that, it would be fucking, they could make an amazing fucking game. But as it is, even without doing a review, I can highly recommend the game for if you like Road Rash, and you're good at these kind of games, or you want to get good at them. It's a good game. Like I said, it is kind of janky, as you can see. It is easy to, you would think that like when you see me playing, you would think like, how the fuck did you hit into that? But it's weird because a lot of times I'm holding the directions you would in a normal racing game to pass a lot of these obstacles. It's just sometimes your steering just goes off course and it doesn't seem like the game wants to respond to your corrections. So sometimes it is a little janky. But it was totally learnable, to me. I'd be pissed off sometimes when I felt like the game fucked me over. But, aside from that, I had a lot of tools at my disposal to beat the game, and it was mostly a very enjoyable experience. But of course, now I can understand how it would be real frustrating to lesser skilled players or players that have trouble with these kind of games. So it's not going to be for everyone. But it is really cool, man, once you get into a flow with the game, with the different weapons and taking out the enemies. It's the kind of experience you don't see anymore. Games like this just aren't made anymore, combat racing games, and you just don't see them anymore. Which it's one of my favorite types of games. I love these kind of games. So these are the kind of games that I would be interested in seeing released, there's lots of awesome games coming out, even, in the modern era, but it's a shame that we lost certain types of games, don't really come out anymore. So yeah, same strategies. Once you upgrade like your guns and max them out, then you may want to upgrade the long melee weapon, which is the shovel that I have on this character that I unlocked. Because that's always nice to have your shovel to have powerful hits. Because the shovel is a nice melee weapon because it has a long range to smack guys from. So you don't have to get right up to them. With the shovel, you want to maintain like maybe a foot or two distance from the guy and just smack him from that range. Because then the guy can't really do shit to you, You can smack him around and he can't really reach you. So you'll see me doing that with the shovel. I try to maintain a little bit of distance and so I can smack them from a range, you see. Because when you get close, you can really take a beating. So if you know how to parry, I guess you could parry the attacks too. But I'm a gun user, as you can see. Here I'm whipping out my gun. Now there's something very important I'm doing that I didn't mention yet. For the final boss, I recommend saving all your rocket launcher rounds. I recommend not using any of your rocket launcher rounds at all until you get to the final stage, which is like stage 18 or something. You'll know when you're there because it shows on the map. But occasionally you're going to see a gun pickup that looks kind of weird. It's a different icon. It looks different than the other, standard machine gun and shotgun. You'll see them very rarely. And when you see that icon, that's your grenade launcher. Now, I had 5 grenade launcher rounds when I got to the final stage. I don't know if that's the current max. Maybe if you upgrade, you can get more or something. Or maybe I only picked up 5 of them, But whatever the case is, make sure you try to get as many of them as you can. Because my strategy for the final boss, it kind of trivializes the fight. Because my plan from the beginning was I'm going to save up those rocket launcher rounds and just unload them on the final boss. And I stripped off most of his health with those rounds. Now, I used 1 rocket launcher round on the final stage to wipe out like 4 or 5 of his minions in like 1 shot, which was a nice use of the round because those guys were starting to irritate me, So, I used maybe 1 round for that. But the other 4 rounds I unloaded on the boss, and I think I hit with all of them, if I remember right. Or most of them. And then I was able to finish him off with other various weapons. But the grenade launcher really, because he has like a lot of extra armor compared to a regular boss. So hitting him with a few rocket launcher rounds really fucks him up. So that's one of my main strats for beating the game that I recommend is saving up that grenade launcher ammo. And aside from that, just the general survival strats, will get you through the game because... if you need nitro, take out bikers and use your guns to take out the other bikers. Always pick up the gun icons, obviously, and collect as much ammo as you can as you're driving by. You also want to take side paths whenever you see them. So a lot of times you're going to see these side paths that contain like nitro and other and ammo for your weapons and things like that. And a lot of times they'll give you health. You want to take those side paths. It's also a shortcut through the level. Usually it's a shorter path. So that'll help you catch up as well. So you want to try to take the side paths when you can. Just keep that in mind. There's a lot of little details like that. Now the harpoon gun is another weapon you get that has ammo. I didn't like that shit at all, but I don't know. Maybe I was using it wrong. Maybe after you shoot the harpoon, maybe you can snag the guys or something. I don't know how it works. I wasn't able to do anything with it. So for me, it wasn't effective most of the time. So I used my other guns. The pistol is pretty good. It does pretty good damage. But my favorite is the machine gun or the shotgun. The machine gun, I try to use that more when I'm at distance from a guy. But the shotgun, when you're getting up close, really takes out guys. And it has like a pretty decent mid-range to it, too. You can take out guys from pretty far away with the shotgun when you get good at it. It's not just a super close-range weapon, as you would think. But when you're really starting to get more range, the machine gun works really well. So yeah, this is another rooftop level, and you're usually going to get several of these in your runs. So for these, I try to avoid any kind of melee fights, like getting into fighting the guys with the shovel and shit. I try to avoid all that shit when I'm on the rooftops. I try to focus on pretty much not falling into pits and getting the health to get my health bar back up. Here, my health is full, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But if I do fall, then it starts to go down a little bit, and I'll try to collect the health to get it back up. But then what I do is I don't necessarily speed ahead of everyone right away, because I kind of wait until the race is almost done, and then I'll start pulling out my gun and start catching up to everybody by getting nitro by shooting everyone. So I'm being kind of patient now. I'm not trying to rush ahead of the pack right away. I'm going to save that for a little bit later. I'm just hanging back because it's safer not to be in the midst of the entire pack. They just go wild on you, and you'll start falling in the holes and shit. So I'm playing it a little safe. I'm not, speeding ahead of everybody right away. If I wanted to right now, I could pull out my gun and shoot a bunch of guys and just nitro ahead of the pack, but it's kind of dangerous. So I was just playing it safe. And most of the time, I will catch up. And like I said, if I fail one track, it's not a big deal. I think I may fail one of the tracks. I don't know which one it was, but it's not really that big of a deal because I have plenty of health. Also, I've been getting the max health upgrade item in the store too, I believe. There's also a one of the unlocks on your skill tree is to double the store items, and also cheaper items too. I think I had some of that unlocked, which definitely helps because you have more options of shit to buy. I think I had some of that unlocked. But like I said, just go through the skill tree and you're going to want to unlock everything that becomes available. You're going to want to do that anyway because you have to do that to unlock the next tier of upgrades. So you're basically going to have to do that and buy things that you may not find that useful. But in the end, you end up becoming a lot more powerful for all those little upgrades that seem, they don't seem that significant, but it all adds up. So it's worth doing it anyway. So you see, I didn't get too aggressive here until the end, and as long as I qualified, I didn't want to not qualify because then I am going to take that hit to my max health. But like I said, I do fuck up at least one of the events and fail it. And I already was upgrading my health anyway, so I think I already had plenty of health by this point. Or my health was pretty good, I think. Maybe I took a few hits, but that's the danger of failing the events is that you do take a 25% loss to your max health. So you lose that health capacity, but there are ways to upgrade it. The thing is, though, the health upgrades, the permanent health upgrades don't show up that often. So, it's not something you don't want to fail events just because you're not worried about your health. You really don't want to get your health that low if you can avoid it. Because later on, enemies do get much more aggressive. So you want to have some health so you can sustain some damage. There's also a vest called Midas or something like that. It looks like a bulletproof vest. That's a good item to select. That's a good upgrade to select if you're trying to get more XP because you'll get 50% XP. So those are good items. There's also another item that gives you 15% XP. Those are all good if you're trying to collect XP, if you're planning on maybe not beating the event and you just want XP. But here I'm giving you a strategy for what I use to actually beat the game. Not to grind XP. Grinding XP is really not hard to do. Because you can fail the events. You just want to earn enough XP each time to unlock maybe one upgrade or something, if you're bad at doing it, but you're going to have to get good at the game anyway by that point, to be able to actually beat the full game. So these side paths with the janky physics and everything, they can be dangerous. Like these later ones are kind of dangerous. You can get used to them though. I hadn't taken this route too often, so sometimes I wasn't really used to it. But it's really not that hard. But sometimes you want to drive on those shortcuts a little slower because it is cutting through it's cutting a nice little shortcut through the stage, so you don't have to go at full speed, and you'll still make nice progress through the stage. It's better than driving off the fucking rails like you saw me doing. That's not really good to do. Luckily, you don't take a ton of damage when you drive off track. But of course, if you keep doing it, your health will go down. You can see I usually try to hang back and gun the guys down. And then I'm taking the shortcut, and now I'm using the nitro I got from gunning the guys down to blast ahead. That's my general strategy throughout the entire game, pretty much. But like I said, for that final stage, I was trying to save up. I didn't really end up saving up my machine gun and shotgun ammo as I had planned. I wanted to save pretty much all my firearm ammo for the final stage. But I ended up fucking that up because the problem was I was going to end up taking a huge hit, to my health if I failed another event. I didn't want to take a big hit to my health like that, so I pulled out my guns and I pretty much wasted all my ammo just to get ahead and get my nitro to boost ahead of everyone. So by doing that, I did waste most of my ammo, unfortunately. I would recommend trying to save it up for the final stage if you can. But one thing you can save up very easily is save up all your rocket launcher or grenade launcher ammo. The grenade launcher shows up in the area with your C4 sticky bombs and your pipe bombs in the bottom area. It's selected by pressing down on the D-pad. You can cycle through those. So save up that grenade launcher ammo for the final boss. And if you need to, you can use the rest of all your other ammo if you need to, but I really don't recommend doing it because it is hard to take out the boss when you're lacking guns. Though you'll probably be able to pick up some guns and shit on the final stage. So you can kind of make up for it, but it's not really super reliable to try to get to the last stage and then try to get ammo. It can make it so that you may not beat it. I'm not sure what happens if you let the last boss escape. Like if you make it to the end of the track and the last boss escapes. I'm not sure if you fail the entire game for that. I mean, I would assume that would be a fail, but I never actually had that happen. But I wasn't planning to let that happen. I was just planning to have enough weapons to where I could take him out. But like I said, I was a little short. I didn't have any ammo for my machine guns or anything, but I did have 5 grenade launcher rounds, which was enough. And I was able to pick up, I think, some guns on the final stage. So I got lucky with that. But if you can, try to save your guns up, because the final stage is coming soon at this point. Maybe this was one of the events that I failed. Yeah, I don't know. I think this might have been the only one I failed, but I wasn't really paying attention. I may have failed a few events. But see, now my health is down to 122, which is, it's decent enough, but it's not great. Because I think I've had my health over 300 before, or well into the 200s if I remember right. I'm not sure what I started with this character, my starting health. But, it's starting to get a little bit low. Here I'm trying to decide what upgrades to get. Sometimes I will buy nitro tanks just because for the final stage, for the final boss, I like to have a full canister of nitro to start off with, because you don't always have a lot of opportunities to catch up to him. See, there's not a lot of bikers for me to kill right now, and I need to catch up to this guy, so I like starting with a canister of nitro for the final boss. So I would recommend that if you have the money to purchase it. But whenever you do see these bikers, try to take them out and get your nitro up so you can catch up to the boss. Now you're going to see my strat in action. I'm planning to use my rocket launcher, so you'll see what I do with that. I have my rocket launcher. I have 5 rounds in my rocket launcher, or my grenade launcher, and you'll see what I do with that. This was my strategy, was to save it up for the final boss. So it ended up working pretty well. I actually used it to clear out that group, but now I start using it on the boss. See how much damage it does? Massive damage. You see how much easier this makes the final boss. Now, I think I missed a shot. But I got most of his shields down and a lot of his health down. So now I have to finish him off with regular weapons. I wasted all my grenade, but now I'm shotgunning him, and I'm going to be using standard weapons. And I think I picked up these weapons on this stage. I don't think I had any when I got in here, but I'm also killing other bikers to get my nitro, and this guy was taking a lot of shots, but because you do want to maintain your nitro as well, otherwise the boss will just blaze past you. So you do want to kill the other bikers. Also, the bikers kind of get in your fucking way while you're trying to deal with the boss, so you may want to take him out. Now I tag him with I think I tagged him with a C4, which did a lot of damage. If not, I tagged one of his friends. Yeah, I tagged one of his friends there. And I think his friend may have driven into him and did some damage to him, but I'm not sure. If you can, try to tag the main boss with a C4. That does a lot of damage as well. It's not an instant kill like you might think, but it does do a lot of damage to the boss. See, I got him tagged. And I think it did pretty good damage. It might have took like half of his main health, because he doesn't have shields anymore. First, you got to go through his shielded health. Then he has his red health bar, which is like his final, just his regular health. So I was tagging him here. And see, that tag, it did pretty good damage. Maybe I don't know if it's half. Let's see what it did. Maybe not. I thought it would do more damage. This guy has a lot of health. That's why I say try to save up your weapons, Because you can get to him, and if you don't have a lot of weapons, he'd be very hard to take out. It's very easy for him to drive through the entire stage without being killed because of all the armor he has. You see, it was getting close here to where if I didn't take him out soon, I was probably going to fail the game. So I'm trying to get nitro now to catch up to this guy. It's getting pretty tense by this point. I may use my pistol at this point to finish him off. You see, the pistol was doing pretty good damage, so now I'm using my pistol. And now he's almost dead. But had I not had that rocket launcher saved up, see, now I beat him, so that's pretty much ends the game. But see, now, if I didn't have my rocket launcher saved up, I probably wouldn't have beaten him. Because he would have had all that extra armor and shit that I would have had to chew through. So, that's one of my main recommendations, is save that shit up. Save that grenade launcher up. And, use those survival tactics. Remember that you can fail a stage here and there. You just don't want to do it often. But sometimes you want to hang back and, let the bikers go ahead of you so you can gun them down and build up your nitro. So getting good with the guns is like pretty much one of the main skills that I would say to develop for the game. That, and use your XP to unlock all the upgrades. And eventually you should be able to break through. So now you have a time trial where you just have to make it to the end of this track in a certain amount of time. But they give you quite a bit of time, and your bike can actually drive through cars. So you don't even have to dodge traffic. Now, I don't know if it will bust through cars if you're not using the turbo. Like at regular speed, I'm not sure if it'll break through the cars, but I don't think I ever got knocked off my bike from a car. The cars may slow you down if you're not using turbo, but they won't take you off your bike. So you're almost invincible by this point. You can just speed through. You may want to kill the bikers still to get your turbo so you can speed ahead faster. Just to make good time. But you don't have to kill anyone, basically. I mean, aside from just maybe get some nitro. Kill the guys for the nitro. Take the shortcuts. At this point, you don't have to worry about saving your ammo for any later parts of the game or anything. This is the final. I don't even know if you fail this. I don't know if you fail the game. I don't know if this is required. I would assume it was, but I don't know. I never failed the final. I didn't fail the final stage or this. I have died on the final boss before in one of my runs, at least one of my runs. So I had a very close attempt early on in the game. Actually, a few hours into playing this game, I got to the final boss, but I wasn't able to beat him. So I could have beaten the game several hours sooner, but it's no rush, really. Eventually, you will have enough upgrades, and you'll know the game well enough. As long as you know how to conserve your ammo and shit, you learn how the game works and the pacing of the game. And when to use your guns. See, but crashing doesn't have much of a penalty with this bike. This bike pretty much drives through everything. So at this point, it's more of just a fun little fuck around to kind of finish the game off. Yeah, and if you watch my video, you'll see I didn't mention it a ton, but like I said, the C4 is extremely useful. You can tag tons of enemies with the C4. The easiest way probably to kill the enemies in the stages where you have to kill all the enemies, one of the easiest ways to do it is to tag all the main enemies with C4, because sometimes they'll blow each other up and you'll get multi-kills. But it's just a very easy way to take enemies out. And once you get good with the guns, of course, that's my main. That's what I do most of the time, because I don't have C4 all the time, but you get a nice amount of it as pickups. But yeah, sometimes it gets weird. I mean, you get locked into these weird angles where it seems like you can't steer out of it and you'll drive off-road, and I don't know why that happens. I think it's just some control issues or the physics. But it works well enough. So yeah, I was cutting it kind of close. I probably should have just sped through instead of trying to kill all the guys. But yeah, that's it. Once you do that, you've beaten the game. You get a little ending here, and then there's some credits. And then as a little bonus, you're going to see I got this Rainbow Road Mario Kart inspired track at the end. I don't think you need to beat that at all. You could probably just shut the game off. But I tried to get first place in it. I ended up getting second place, but I think it's just optional. But I'll explain my strat for that too, which was pretty much the same as what I did for the rest of the game. But yeah, you get the credits here, and now you get a little Rainbow Road. Now, I'm not sure if unlocking that little Rainbow Road track, if there's any requirement to get that, or if it just comes for just beating the game normally. But yeah, that's how you beat the game. You got to do it all in one, all 18 or so tracks in one, life pretty much. So now you got this rainbow track. Now, what makes this harder than the other tracks is that there's a lot of areas where there's no railings, so you can drive off the edges very easily. And the other thing is that all the enemies on this track, I believe, all the main racers are all bosses. So they all have like tons of health. So I think that's the main change here, is that they're all previous bosses. So you're not going to be able to take them out as quickly, you know what I mean? So it does make it harder. It's a cool little bonus track, though. I think after all this, there's a New Game Plus where you carry over all your stats and stuff. I don't know if it's harder. I may mess with that. If it's significantly harder, maybe I'll make another tutorial for that if I do it. But I haven't fucked with that yet. I just beat the game normally. So now here what I was trying to do, and I had mixed results. I was trying to take out pretty much most of the racers so that I could place well by default for just killing all the guys. But see, I'm using my rockets here to take out guys, and I killed several guys with one shot there. I think I had a double kill. But my rockets just weren't landing as I expected them to. So unfortunately, I didn't wipe out as many of the competitors as I was trying to. But I did give it a try. But I do kill a good number of the competitors. But I think that's why I got second place, because I think I killed a lot of the racers. But they do take a lot more to kill. Like the rocket launcher wiped them out pretty easily. But you can see they have a lot more armor. They're all pretty much bosses. So they're all heavily armored. So here I'm like kind of neck and neck with this guy. I'm trying to kill him so that he can't outplace me. So I'm kind of staying behind him and taking my shots. But like I said, it is always hard in this game to aim and drive at the same time while trying to take sharp turns. And you really got to know when to pop off your shots. And that's definitely a that was the part that took the most skill for me, because I'm pretty used to these kind of racing games as far as the driving is concerned. But trying to do that while shooting can be tough. But once you get into a flow with it, you really start to destroy the game, because you can constantly keep your nitro up, and you're taking out competitors permanently. So they, you can actually win by default if you take out enough enemies. So here I'm hanging back. I'm trying to just wipe these guys out. By this point, my goal, like I said, was pretty much try to kill all the competitors. So I just take first place. I was just trying to wipe them all out. I also knew this was optional, so I wasn't super concerned with trying to stay ahead. And I was just trying to take them out and see if I could win that way. I think the reason I ended up placing second in this was because I may have killed everyone else, or most of everyone else. Because I'm about halfway through the track, and most of the competitors are dead, I think, by this point. I think I wiped most of them out. So that is definitely a good strat for a lot of racing stages. But you can also be really conservative and try to save up your ammo for that final boss stage. You can definitely do better than I did with that. Because, like I said, I was pretty drained by the time I got there. But as long as you save that rocket launcher, you're going to have a nice start on the final boss. You should have a nice, you can strip off all of his armor and get him down to his main health bar, at least. And then, then it'll be a lot more manageable. I would have liked to have had a shit ton of grenade launcher rounds and just killed them that way. But I don't know how many you can hold. Maybe you can unlock a larger capacity, like I said, with more XP. I didn't go through the whole skill tree. I wasn't able to unlock everything. Because I only had about 6 hours and 19 minutes. I would have needed more time, to unlock the rest of the shit. I had a lot of it unlocked, though, within that time frame. So, the game shouldn't take too long to beat. So here I'm in second place. I think there's one asshole still ahead. Well, no, maybe two. Those might be the only two guys that are still alive, though. But you do have to watch out for those jumps. It's easy to run out of nitro here if you're not killing enough guys. I probably should have focused more on the racing and less on the killing, like I said. I was pretty much relying on the strat to try to wipe out all the racers. I was pretty dead set on trying to do that. But it got sloppy. I didn't even think I was gonna qualify for this, but I did end up passing the event by getting second place. As long as you get the top three, you'll pass it. I don't think there's any penalty to failing it, though. Like I said, because you already beat the game by this point. Maybe you get some stupid fucking achievement or something for beating this, for qualifying this event. That I don't remember. I don't think the recording will show achievement pop-ups. I don't think they show up in the recordings. I think Xbox disables that for whatever reason. Not that I was never into the achievement system or anything like the trophies or the achievements, but I did unlock this racer. It says Nathan Algren. Maybe that was unlocked for beating that little Rainbow Road bonus stage. So those are my finishing stats. So maybe there might be 19 stages because it said I reached level 20. So maybe there's 19 stages. But yeah, that's it. So that's my XP tree. That's all the stuff that I already unlocked by this point in the game. You can see all the stuff that I had already unlocked. Most of the stuff. But there seems to be some much better shit that I didn't even unlock yet. So maybe if I play some more, I'll unlock more racers and bikes and experiment with that, and maybe, try the New Game Plus. There's definitely a nice amount of replay in the game, and I'm definitely going to review it soon. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.